Happy Wednesday, everybody. Coming at you live here this week, hoping for sound and no technical difficulties. So it is New Year's week, exciting stuff. And if you are joining me, please note that I am using StreamYard, and there should be a little bit note, but you need to, if you're in Facebook or YouTube, you need to allow it to read your name. So if you leave any comments, I can see that. Hopefully, hey, Morale, nice to see you on here. Please tell me you can hear my voice because that would be helpful. So we don't have a repeat of last week and all the good stuff. So glad to be here, everybody. I hope you are all preparing. Oh my goodness, I'm backwards on here and all the professionalness of trying to fix your hair on camera, right? So here today to talk to you about it is a year end. We are approaching, we've got 2 more days left to go. And so I just wanted to stop and talk to you guys a little bit about year end, what that should mean to you for your financials, things you might want to consider, and little tips and tricks that I've prepared for you guys so that you can get ready for our most wonderful time of the year, tax time, right? Yeah, no, but it's no coincidence that this falls right after the holidays. You can be thankful and enjoying all the things, and then whammo, time to get ready for tax time. So wanted to just come on here this week. We're going to talk about end of year, things you should be thinking about. I did prepare for you a checklist, a year-end checklist for small business owners. So if you want to check that out, you are welcome to go onto my website and download it. You can download it for free. SpringsteadSolutions.com, go to the free sources page and you can download it. I've got my little notes here. It's a little 2-pager. Oh, there we go. Little 2-pager, quick tips and tricks, just things to make sure that you're thinking about before you send your finances off to your tax preparer to make everybody's life just a little bit easier. So before we get into that, I don't know if you had all heard, I follow quite a bit of groups, and I'm in an accountability group for Profit First, and I have some CPAs in there. And one was reporting on the stimulus and the fact that apparently the IRS is going to start releasing payments, or the Treasury. My bad, I am not a tax preparer. But those payments should start flowing in as early as last night and coming into the next week. So keep that in mind. That did get passed. You guys should start seeing some direct deposits if you got in the first round. And if not, I'm going to drop a link for you in here, but you can go to the site. You can see more information about who qualifies, what you qualify for. And I believe there's a way, if your information has changed since the last time that the stimulus came out, and maybe you have a new bank account or a new address or something, that you can update that. So I'm going to drop a link to that below. I am not a professional in this, but I do have friends. So if you have questions, drop them in. I've got CPA friends. I'm sure they would be happy to answer for you. So, and there you go. You can see that the link there is. So feel free to click on that. So end of year, second round of stimulus payments are coming. It looks like they're pending, maybe bumping them up from the 600 to 2,000, but nothing is confirmed. That is still waiting to vote. So good stuff there. So let's talk about end of year. The first is rolling around on Friday. Come Monday the 4th, us bookkeepers are thinking about it's time to get all of our clients' stuff in order. So I just wanted to talk to you, small business owners, maybe your DIYers, maybe your other bookkeepers, and you're thinking about, hey, kind of what's a checklist for me to run through to make sure I'm thinking about all the things before I turn this over to my tax preparer. So one, we want to talk about reconciling all of your accounts, right? So most accounts, with the exception of credit cards, they get their last statement end of the month. So you should bless the digital statements now, and we don't have to wait for them in the mail, right? You should be able to get them starting Monday. Download all of your statements, especially for your bank accounts, and work on reconciling them in your system. Credit cards, you're going to want to get your January statement because they'll include some December charges and get that all reconciled out as well. Little tips and tricks is look at, especially on credit cards. Oh, you guys, I'm so sorry. Especially on credit cards, things that are not reconciled, credit card statements, when you reconcile, you really should have no pending charges. If you have them in there, that's a clue that something went wrong. It got categorized to the wrong account. You want to get that fixed. Maybe it's a double due to matching if you use QuickBooks and bank feeds. So things to think about there. Also consider reconciling your liability accounts, your payroll liabilities, see if there's anything there. Maybe it didn't get paid. Maybe, there was something that's not matching out. You want to tie those out. So I would look at those as well. Review. So you're going to want to review your receivables. So if you do accrual, and that'll be a whole nother conversation for another time, but if you put your invoices into a system and you have them, you want to review your open balances. I always look at my open balance report in QuickBooks and see if payments were properly applied. Oftentimes payments might not sync and link. So I make sure to process all those things, because even though your account balance might be zero for a client, they might still show invoices open because the payment didn't apply properly. So I look at my open invoices report, make sure all the payments are applied properly, see if there's any weird balances in there. And then if there's some really old aging ones, you might want to work on some secondary statements for the month, making some phone calls, seeing about getting those collected, or maybe you need to write something off. 3, review your payables. So if you put payables into your system, you should look at what is still owed, what do you want to pay before the end of the year, and take care of all that and get that out. Because if you file by cash, of course, it depends on when you're paying your bills. So if you have bills that are due by December and they're typical operating bills, you want to get those on the books, make sure that you're writing those and getting those in the mail. Then there's also the 1099s that you need to be prepared for. So 1099s always seem to create some confusion, some questions. So 1099s are used for a multitude of things, rent payments and things like that, but mostly what people use them for or are familiar with them for is for contract labor. So if you haven't been following along, the 1099, after decades of the MISC form being there and everything going into one, they've split it back out and there's a 1099 NEC. So I'm going to drop a link to that here below. So your contract labor, that needs to be recorded on the NEC form and not the typical MIS form that you're used to. So if you use QuickBooks, QuickBooks is usually what I use, and you've had some mapping and you have other 1099 reports besides just contract labor, you need to remap your accounts. So I provided a link. The link is in this download. So download this to get the link. We're not going to drop it here, but download it and download the checklist. It's got it on there. And there is information about the new 1099. And there is also a link to QuickBooks Help to walk you through how to remap these things. So that will help you. You want to get that done before you start running your 1099s. Finally, you want to process any final payrolls. So payroll week, make sure you're being aware that the banks, so if you do direct deposits, the banks are not open on Friday. So if you have pay date of Friday, your check date's probably going to be Thursday, which is technically still 2020. So all things to think about for cash purposes. And then if you're doing any owner draws, maybe you've got all that, you want to take that ahead of time. And if you're going to pay any bonuses to your employees, that those are all put into the system and appropriated in 2020 if that's when they're supposed to be. Moving on from that, you want to do your count. So if you are an inventory firm, end of the year comes, it's time to take account of your inventory, make note of all that for your CPA. And then if you have any waste or spoilage, make a note of that so that they can be aware of anything that you might have had to toss. Moving from all of those financial tasks that you need to take care of, I would suggest, and this would typically be a little bit earlier in fourth quarter, but I'm just going to tell you now, CPAs are probably going to hate me for this, but if you try to get on the phone with a tax consultation, so schedule a call with your tax provider. And again, it might be a little bit too late for that for this year, or maybe shoot an email. But next year in fourth quarter, so as soon as fourth quarter ends, I reach out to my CPA. He does a quick look at what my income versus expenses are, and we look at projections of what my tax liability is going to be, just so I can be aware. Now, I follow profit first, so what my tax liability is, I usually am not too stressed about, but it gives me things to think about. And so a lot of people talk about, oh, I've got this massive tax liability. Lots of people say, oh, we got to spend this money. What are we going to spend to divert the liability? I talked about this in a previous live. Yes, if you have things that you need, that things that are going to make you more efficient, more effective, things that you've thought about purchasing that are going to increase growing your business, your revenue stream, consider those expenses. If your liability is high, it might be the time to do that. But again, I stress need. Do not just go spending money because you want to be concerned about cash flow, right? So hopefully if you're using accruals, you know what is still coming in due to you and what you still owe. But you can talk with your tax preparer and do a real assessment of what expenses or what purchases you might want to be making. And again, just really consider if you need it. Don't just run out spending stuff to avoid paying Uncle Sam. In all reality, if you are paying Uncle Sam, that means you are making money, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. So I know we're not always trained to think that way, but I would encourage you to say, hey, the biggest thing is make sure we've got a cash management plan, profit first, in place to be putting money aside for taxes so that when that comes, you are in a place you either just pay the bill and you're not like looking for ways to force a downed liability or to force a liability to come down. So absolutely encourage that. If you're really close with your CPA, maybe ask a quick question, but definitely put it on your books for next year, beginning of fourth quarter. Then it's time to review all of your stuff and get it ready for the CPA. So once you've gone through all your financial tasks, you've looked at everything, you've reconciled all your bank accounts, now it's time to run your reports, the three big ones, your balance sheet, your profit and loss, your cash flow statement. You want to run those reports and you want to really take a look at them and do an assessment if anything is standing out, if you've got negative amounts where a positive amount should be. You want to take a look at all of those. I encourage running your reports for the year and then looking at them month by month. So there's a way to do that in most systems. You look at it for the year and then sort it by the month and take a look at each month. You can also do a comparison to the previous year and see, do you have any areas where you've had a huge increase or a huge decrease that doesn't seem right, that could cue you into miscategorizations of items. So important to take a look at that. And on your balance sheet, goes back to reconciling, so you want to make sure all of those accounts are reconciled. Confirmed by my tax CPA friend is that if those all reconcile out and are tied, then everything that is needed is there. And maybe if there's an issue that's going to be found, it's in a miscategorization. So again, maybe that you can find that when you go in to your profit and loss and you're looking at month by month, you might find something's really high compared to last year. Oh, there was a miscategorization in there. So those good things. And then organize all your backup and your files and have them in place so that should you need to present anything to CPA for questions, or that you just file it away with your tax return so that in case you need it down the road, get audited or have some questions, those will be available. So those are really the things I wanted to touch on a year-end checklist. And this is for, a lot of DIYers. You're doing that, us CPA or us accountants, bookkeepers, financial professionals. We've got our own list, but looking at that before you give your financials over to your tax preparer, making sure your bookkeeper has gone through all of those things before you turn that over, will likely make it a much easier process to get your tax returns done. Your tax preparer is going to, my guess in confirmation and talking to some friends is you get the tax returns that are coming in, where the books are pretty clean and all that, those things can get busted out. The ones where there's a lot of work, maybe you're at the back of the pile because they're trying to get all, funnel through the easier ones. So just make sure you're ready and you're providing, a fairly clean situation over to your tax preparer. And then make sure that you plan to have a consultation with them after you get your report card back, your tax return, right? So that's going to come in some questions that I would suggest, some things to think about and discuss and strategize with your tax provider and your bookkeeper and yourself for goals moving into 2021. I'll present that probably next week. So that is what I have for you all today. It is end of year. Who else is excited for the end of 2020? I don't know if y'all are excited for the same reasons, but I'm guessing. So I today am presenting a little bit of holiday cheers. So getting ready to just celebrate the end of the old and the beginning of the new. And hopefully 2021 will be bringing us so many more wonderful things. A few more things to touch on is we talked about the stimulus payment. And when you go to reflect and refocus, which again, I'm going to talk more about this in the new year and I have a little checklist, but your income goals, look at where your income was this year. Did you meet what you were wanting to? Business pivoting, I think should have been a key word here for 2020. All of the pivots that we've had to do in these crazy times of this, new normal and the unprecedented. Staffing, how did you do this year? How did you fare? Are you at a point, are you growing so much that you need staff? Do you need part-time assistants? Really address what are your goals and how can you get there, and how do you make sure that you as a business owner are maximizing your time, your energy, and your efforts to growing your business. Now, granted, staffing is a big decision and you want to be careful about that, but make sure it's part of your strategic planning thoughts as you're wrapping up this year and just looking back. Implementing a cash management system, AKA Profit First. Think about, do you have a cash management system? Is it structured? Do you know exactly what it looks like? Are you kind of flying by the seat of your pants and that has worked for you, but it hasn't served you as well as you hoped, and it really hasn't helped you get to the goals that you want? Lots of ways that you can do this. There's buy the Profit First book. If you are a DIYer, you're not ready for any specific help and you just want to start something where there's a structure, Profit First book, you can get it. You can download the first 2 chapters on my website if you want. Check it out. It's free, no cost to you. You can take digital courses, right? I am launching a permanently profitable course February 16th. It is how to launch Profit First in your business, taking the concepts in the book, helping you figure out how to customize them to yourself and get yourself moving in a cash management system. Sign up for some group coaching. That is a huge thing. I've done several group coaching processes this last year, and just the value of that type of thing. I've always been someone who's kind of a little bit more private with my stuff, and I realized as I got into some group coaching with other CEOs, with other owners, with other presidents, with other bookkeepers, the value of doing this in a group and being able to learn from other people and glean from their suggestions and their recommendations has been huge. I just can't say enough about the group coaching aspect and the beauty of it. So that is something that I am looking to launch as well. You can sign up for my newsletter if you want. I'm partnering with someone else that I'm really excited about. We're going to put together a group coaching program. So it'll walk through Profit First and all the good things to help you get yourself permanently profitable, tips and tricks for your staff, bookkeeping, things, just all the fun stuff. So consider something like that. Maybe it's not Profit First that you need, but maybe you need like a mastermind type thing. So many great things available. I consider checking into that. Get one-to-one coaching. I do coaching. There's many coaches out there. It's find whoever you're comfortable with, and you can schedule a consultation with me on my website if you want to. I put that in there, ask a few questions and see if we might be a good fit. But just think about what are the things that you can put in place where there is some sort of structured system for you to make sure that your finances, right? Because finances, it is proven, kind of make or break our mental health, right, when it comes to in our business. And if you're stressed about finances and don't know, it just really can mess with your effectiveness, with your ability to get things done, with your motivation. And so getting your finances dialed in and tuned in to where, yes, you have to be aware, and yes, you have to be planning, and it needs to be a part of your day-to-day, but it is not stress, is just huge. There's just not enough words for that. So look into those things. Consider any of those options. We're dropping links, springsteadsolutions.com. Check it out. No pressure whatsoever. But yeah, so it is end of year. I am curious to know, what are you most excited for 2021? I am personally going to be putting together a one-page business plan. Friend of mine in my group, he shared his, which I thought was amazing. And I have the ability to overcomplicate some things when I'm talking about dreams and goals, right? So I was excited about this one-page plan to really focus myself in. And so when you're growing a business, not to be 2020 anymore. Yes, Misha, I get it. Happy New Year, Rob. Nice to see you on here. But thinking about your goals, what are you most excited for 2021? I am excited. I picked my words. Does anyone else pick words for the year? I actually picked 2 that can work individually or together, and it was Purposeful Boss. Coming into my own business, I've been a boss for a while, but was more like being a leader, not so much a boss. And so not a boss in a negative way, but a boss in a positive way, and purposeful. So what am I doing? Is it purposeful? Is that helping to drive me towards my goals in my business, my professional, business and professional, those are the same. Professional, personal, or spiritual life? Is what I'm doing helping with that? I've been aware of that, but I think I say it and then it's so easy to forget and just go into the humdrum and the day to day. So if you guys do a word for the year, I'm curious what your words are. I love hearing other people's words and where they came from. Yes, Rob, agreed. Excited for more profit first business. I love the system. I'm so excited to be certified in it. And Rob is a fellow certified PFP. So we just love the system. It's great. We can't sing enough praises. And we say that because we run it in our business first, and it has provided financial peace of mind that I really didn't know I was going to have. And I think for over a decade, I was afraid to go in business because I was afraid of the finances and the responsibility and the unknown, and being understanding bookkeeping and accounting, but understanding it and then knowing how to strategize and plan for it. Those are definitely two different things. So very excited about that myself. So yeah, talk to me. What are your words for 2021? What are you most excited to let go of for 2020? And then if you have a plan, are you doing a one-page business plan? What are all the things? Don't forget your stimulus payment is coming, so you can read more about it on the IRS website. We share the link here. Visit my site. I've got some free sources. There's the one that I talked about today, which is your year-end checklist. You can download it. There's other things in there that you can download as well. I'm trying to grow the ability for you guys to have free resources and content. So that's one of my goals for 2021 is to give back and give knowledge to you guys in a way that's easy to obtain. So that is what I have for you today on Hump Day, the last Wednesday of 2020. We are screaming into the end of the new year, very excited. And also, what are you doing to ring in the new year? I mean, in a pandemic, what do you do? I'm usually asleep before the ball drops, so I'm at home anyway. So this is kind of like I've been training for this kind of new year for a while. But now that it's just a thing, you're kind of like, oh, I wish there was something to go do. So share with me what your plans are. And I will plan to see you all back here next Wednesday, the first Wednesday of 2021. Yeah, Misha, I hear you. There's something about doing nothing that sounds so appealing. And then I think my inner extrovert is like, no, but you want something. We talked about that last week. My extrovert versus introvert, they battle with each other. So it's kind of crazy. But yeah, so I will catch you guys all here next Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll talk about the new year. We'll probably talk about a little bit of planning. I'm going to try to have the new year checklist for you ready to go. Hopefully I'll be able to get that done. And wish you all an amazing end of 2020. Keep your spirits alive. A new year is upon us, and hopefully lots of good and great things for us. Have a great day, everyone.